As most of you know, shark movies scare the shit out of me. Usually it doesn't have to be a good movie, but if it has some effective shark attack scenes, I end up enjoying it, because I love to be scared. It's a bonus when the director actually puts a little talent into the filmmaking process and creativity into the script. That's what filmmaker Andrew Traucki did with The Reef way back in 2010. Does the Australian director-writer's new sequel to his sharksploitation hit match up? Let's see. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. The Reef, Stalked, is in select theaters, on demand, and digital download from One Media. It's directed and written by Andrew Traucki. After witnessing the death of her sister due to domestic abuse, Nick, played by Teresa Lian, has spent the last 6 months on her own, coping with her own PTSD and guilt. Nick meets up with her other sister, Annie, played by Saskia Archer, and 2 friends for a diving and kayaking trip in the South Pacific off of the coast of Australia. Their trip is interrupted by a great white shark that seems to have an unquenchable appetite and an unstoppable urge to eat these ladies. Not since Jaws had a film made me scream and pull my knees up to my chin so many times as the original Reef did. Traucki did a fantastic job of immersing the viewer hip-deep in the water with a group of boaters desperately attempting to swim for shore with a shark nipping at their heels all the way. Traucki attempts to catch lightning in a bottle twice with The Reef Stalked, and while the sequel has its moments, it pales in comparison with the original. With the original The Reef, the shark doesn't really have a personality or even a desire for vengeance as the shark does in The Reef Stalked. It's just a predator in the sea, and the boaters happen to be in its path. That's kind of the same thing that goes on with Stalked, but for some reason the shark feels much more like it is driven by a need for story rather than just a simple predatory instinct. After their first deadly encounter with the shark, it seems to follow them, and while that is a common occurrence in shark movies, it feels less genuine here than in the original. In one scene, the shark attacks the group, and they make it to an island. Then they take off on the other side of the island to get help for one of the wounded victims, and sure enough, that shark tracks them down like a bloodhound on the hunt. It just feels less natural and more unrealistic. There is thematic weight. Traucki attempts to adhere to the shark. Nick's sister was killed by a jealous boyfriend at the beginning, so many times the shark represents the threat of that boyfriend, reminding Nick of the tragic day when she discovered her sister's body. But I think it would have been a much better metaphor had Traucki established the boyfriend as an ex who stalks Nick's sister, and then likened him to the shark stalking the girls on the open water. Also, having the protagonist be the sister and not the actual one who was being stalked felt like a bit of a thematic reach, and it was less personal had the stalking happened to Nick herself. Still, the acting is pretty solid throughout. Teresa Lian looks a lot like Margot Robbie and gives quite a commanding performance as she battles this shark. Her sister Annie, played by Saskia Archer, is a strong presence too, but man is she tall. She towers over the rest of the girls, and it's understandable that the shark is attracted to her long dangling legs. It's interesting how the script addresses the actress's height as a disadvantage for her as she moves in the water and attempts to get away from the shark. While this is definitely a weaker entry compared to the original, Traucki shows off his gift for establishing strong suspense and nerve-shredding tension in quite a few scenes during the shark attacks. While the climax gets a bit ridiculous, the attacks leading up to that are quite effective and made me jump and scream out at my TV more than once. Any film that does that is a winner in my book, so while it isn't better than the original Reef, The Reef Stalked is better than most shark horror films you're going to see.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be. Stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. God live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside